I was born with the gift of the gab. With MagMongoSlade. Shoot. He don't miss.
I gotta admit, I really don't care about Corey Graves. I really don't, one way or the other. But this is a pretty big story only because of some of the reactions I've seen due to things that Corey Graves have said over the course of his run. So we're going to talk about what's going on with Corey Graves, and then we're going to get into some of the reactions. The reactions are actually the fun part. So Corey Graves puts up a statement saying, imagine chasing your dream, then being told, not deciding, that you're no longer physically able to pursue your dream. Then you dedicate your life to something dream adjacent and being pretty effing awesome at it. And then, when it's time to enjoy the fruits of your labor, being told you're not famous enough for your own job. Just in case you've wondered where I've been. So, everybody thought this was a work. Everybody believed that it was a work because this statement came out of nowhere and it's just sitting there. And then later on, he tweeted out, I've got a lot to say. Don't miss WWE NXT tonight on the CW. Now, this led to a lot of conversation about what he meant by this. So many people, Meltzer chiefly among them, said that this was an angle, saying, quote, if he's on TV, it's an angle. If he's not on TV and nobody says a word about it on TV, then it wouldn't be an angle. Well, thank you for such high IQ analysis, Dave Meltzer. What was it? Is it $14.99 now? $14.99 for this. If it's an angle, they're going to be on talk about it on TV. If it's not an angle, they're going to talk about it. They're not going to talk about it on TV. We don't know. It's like, come on, man. Oh, God. He continues by saying, when he told people to watch him on TV, that's obviously trying to get people to watch the TV show. That's not quite what he said, but yes. Okay. Then he says, his brother said it's not an angle, and 2 others have told me the same. Plugging him going on TV, and you can't miss what I'm going to say, would be a publicity stunt, aka an angle in some form. Here is the truth. Corey Graves did not appear on NXT. Last week, when Corey Graves was on NXT, they said it was a one-time only deal. They did not say he was going to be on NXT tonight. They said last week it was one time only. This week, he just promoted NXT, but he said, I have a lot to say. And then he promoted NXT. He didn't say, I'm going to be on NXT, which I know is splitting hairs, but it should be noted that he obviously did not say he was going to be on NXT. So, from there, we got Kevin Kelly. Kevin Kelly says, put me and Corey Graves together at the desk. Corey would become the biggest commentating star in wrestling because I would actively try to get him over. Let his star shine. Then a fan talked about AEW, and then Kevin Kelly says this, all I wanted to do was call wrestling. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd have to listen to a stuttering son of a billionaire feeding me lines and then correcting himself and telling me I was doing great. They waited until I had a mental breakdown to fire me, which, in the middle of a lawsuit, probably not the best thing to do is to be making statements about that situation. But holy hell, you got Tony Khan pulling a Matt Morgan gimmick in your ear for 2 hours? Oh my God. And there's no button to turn him off? Turn him off. I think when Vince used to get on people's nerves, he used to take their headset off. They would turn them off or turn the mics down or something like that. Oh, I couldn't imagine that guy stuttering in my ear. Kevin. Get bent. Get bent. But this is pretty good. And he said feeding him lines. So does this mean that Tony Khan is feeding lines to like Tony Schiavone and Excalibur Is he telling them what to say? And I look, to a degree, you are telling people what to say because you want to have certain things said and mentioned on the show. But if you're telling them to say something line for line, then you might as well just do commentary yourself. And this has always been the thing with Vince, where he's sitting there producing the commentators. He might as well be doing commentary himself at that point because he's just telling them what to say. Now, telling people what to point out is important, and I think that's an important bit. But feeding them lines, telling them exactly what to say, I just don't see the need for that. But AEW has absolutely god-awful commentary. Their commentary is the shit. So, and Tony's producing it personally. What a joke. Let's see if this actually has some sort of impact on his lawsuit, though, because he's not supposed to be talking about this stuff in public. Next was Coach. Coach says, so Corey is upset for being bumped from the main announced roster. Happened to JR 5 times. Happened to Cole multiple times. Happened to me multiple times. He is right, but he is really good at his job. But playing in the sandbox a little bit better might not hurt next time. Embrace whatever role you have and understand that you are lucky to have it. There are only 3 to 5 of these jobs at the highest level. Who knows, maybe they asked him to be a part of a 3-man booth. We know he doesn't like that. LOL, sorry, had to. Last line of joke. The rest is like the wrestling business. It happens. Yes, JR was replaced multiple times for the reason of Vince just didn't like how he looked. And there was also the fact that JR started to get older. Michael Cole was in an interesting, similar situation. And Vince is always kind of obsessed with the new. Can we bring in people who are younger, better, fresher, or whatever? And he's always looking to replace everybody. Which is a good thing and a bad thing. It's bad because if you have something that works, like JR and the King, people don't want you to mess with it. But it's good because sometimes you always want to know that you want to apply pressure. You don't want people to get too comfortable in their job that they start getting really bad at it or they get lackadaisical with it. But it's also bad because you don't want people to feel like they're replaceable. Like, hey, here's Mike Adamle, and we're going to go bring in Mike Goldberg, but Vince always had his vision of certain people that he wanted to have on commentary. Now Triple H has his own vision of people. He wanted Joe Tessitore. Either that or it was a Nick Khan call. And I'm pretty sure it was a Nick Khan call. And Pat McAfee is another one. No doubt a Nick Khan decision. The fact that Pat McAfee is calling Raw, you can almost guarantee you that is a Nick Khan idea. So, do I care? Not really. I really don't notice Corey Graves that much. I don't think he's that bad. I don't think he's bad enough to get bumped from the show completely. But there's been this, of course, online war about whether you would rather have Corey Graves or Pat McAfee. And if you ask me, I would rather have Corey Graves. Pat McAfee has too much personality for commentary. He gets too involved in the show. He's fun, but he oftentimes will do things that also distract from the show, like ad-libbing. They have to play into Pat McAfee too much for my taste. But it reminds me a little bit of Bobby the Brain Heenan and Jerry Lawler. But it reminds me of them being hyper-verbal, where they're wrestlers and analysts, and Jerry the King Lawler is a bit of a comedian, while Ventura was more of like a heel doing commentary, and then Jerry Lawler was a heel doing commentary, but he was also a dirty old man and a comedian. Like, he would always cut these bad jokes and that kind of stuff. And then you will have Pat McAfee, who is kind of a babyface commentator, but he's loud, he's bombastic, he's kind of annoying for 2 hours. And Corey Graves is a good heel commentator. He's a solid heel commentator. I mean, I wouldn't say that, he's the best. For me, he's not nearly as fun as Booker T. Booker T is like a perfect mesh of Jesse Ventura and Pat McAfee. Because sometimes Booker T is going to say some stuff that has nothing to do with the rest of the show. He's going to be very, very into the product. He's going to be quite biased for certain people. He stammers, which is fun. Sometimes he doesn't even follow the product, which is fun. I love Booker T on commentary. I do not think that Corey Graves is better than Booker T. Wade Barrett is probably comparable to Corey Graves. I don't think that, Wade Barrett and Corey Graves, I think you probably could, swap them out and I wouldn't notice it that much. But Wade Barrett is okay. He's not bad either. But Booker T is clearly fun. He's more fun for me than Pat McAfee. But Corey Graves getting screwed over. I mean, it is what it is. There's not much you could do about it at this point. But he's certainly not doing himself any favors by tweeting about it. But he's trying to cope. He's trying to cope. He's trying to work his way through it. So people are very mad at him that he made some comments that they didn't like in the past. And some of the fans decided that they're going to let him have it. This is their chance to let him have it. And they said, quote, same guy that called Sasha and Naomi unprofessional when they walked out. Same guy that made very weird comments towards Bianca's WrestleMania entrance. And the same guy that constantly makes weird comments towards black wrestlers in general. See when you do clownery. I don't know what that means. I don't know what any of this means. Nor am I really sure what he said about Bianca's entrance. I remember the Naomi and Sasha Banks thing. And pretty much everybody who isn't a fucking idiot realizes that what they did was unprofessional. You walked out on the show while you were promoted to be on the show. That's not a professional thing to do. In any event, you don't get to dictate your own creative, and certainly not 10 minutes before the show airs, or even an hour before the show airs, or whatever. But that's one of the things that I'm hearing a lot about is Corey Graves' comments about Sasha Banks, even though that was also Michael Cole's story as well. There's more though. Here's another one. Corey's moving like he's the top commentator in that company. Meanwhile, he's not even top 5. I just think that he's kind of, I guess you could say, bland. Like, there's nothing about Corey Graves I think that jumps out at me as being particularly bad or particularly good. He just kind of exists in this position, where he's good enough, but it also could be that somebody is better. And I can't really argue on his behalf or not. Somebody says, I see the It's a Work replies, and I'm genuinely curious how that benefits any viewer, because the payoff is a WrestleMania match with a guy who hasn't wrestled in 11 years and a guy who hasn't wrestled a real match in 3 years and isn't an active wrestler to begin with. So this is in relation to the conversation where people think that Corey Graves is going to wrestle Pat McAfee. And I don't see the benefit of that. Corey Graves has been outside of the ring for a really long time. And his neck is made of cigarette ashes. I'm not exactly sure he should get in the ring. I just don't think it's a smart thing to do for him to get in the ring. It just doesn't seem intelligent. It seems dangerous. And I'm pretty sure he is rustier than an old battleship. It's probably not a good idea. Probably not a good idea. Here's another one. He says, I 100% understand where he's coming from. Pat comes and goes, and then Corey is the one who gets the shit end of the stick. It's not fair. Well, life is not fair. Life is 100% not fair. But this is a legitimate issue because Pat McAfee hosts his own show and really is only there because likely Nick Khan wants him there. You know, Pat McAfee was the voice of SmackDown for I don't know how many months, and then he disappeared for college football. So now, is he going to disappear again, and then we're going to have to call Corey Graves to do commentary with Michael Cole because Pat McAfee disappeared again? That's a legitimate question. You know? I don't know, but it's a legitimate question. Said, moving Corey Graves to NXT is the worst possible move they could have made. Booker and Vic have good chemistry, and adding a third voice just overcomplicates things. A 3-man booth on SmackDown or Raw makes way more sense. I don't think you need another voice with Pat McAfee. I just don't think you do. And I think that him and Wade Barrett are too similar for them to both be on SmackDown. The best place for him is NXT if you're going to keep him around. Because he can add something that Booker T doesn't. Booker T is very entertaining. He's very humorous, but he doesn't always follow the product. At least Corey Graves does follow the product, and he can add something there. But maybe he could be a ring announcer or something. I don't know. Maybe they need a new timekeeper, y'all. You know, timekeeper Corey Graves. Who knows, man? But, sheesh. Here's another one. It's karma for the unnecessary BS he spewed about Sasha Banks on commentary, then hiding behind "it's my job," as if we hadn't noticed it's personal. He went from overly praising her on NXT to being disgusted whenever her theme hit on the main roster. Methinks rejection. Methinks rejection. Ugh. You know, he might have a personal issue with the girl because he knows her and he worked together for a while. And the stories are that she grates on people. Maybe that was it. Who knows? Here's another one. Since he's ungrateful, take his NXT spot and replace him with Mauro Ranallo, who's actually good at his job. Let me tell you, Mauro Ranallo is like Pat McAfee, except for he's the lead commentator, which is really, it can be a bit much. Listening to Mauro do play-by-play, oh my God. And look, people love him in boxing and MMA. The pro wrestling fans, you know, whereas it took some getting used to, and then some people will hear it and still kind of flip out. You know, still be kind of upset about what's going on here. Here's one that says, Corey Graves, it's real simple, buddy. If you're so jealous of Pat McAfee, then leave WWE and head to Jacksonville, Florida, and join AEW Tony Khan commentary chair with Tony Schiavone and Daddy Magic and Excalibur and Taz. Maybe you'll be moved AEW Dynamite and AEW Collision $1 million. Huh? He didn't say he wanted to leave or quit. He's frustrated because he's lost his spot, which anybody would be, because he had the spot for a long time, and then they decided they wanted to go with Nick Khan's decisions, which were Pat McAfee and Joe Tessitore, and it left him out in the cold. Yes, it seemed very unfair. Here's one that's actually praising Corey Graves. It says, Corey Graves no longer calling the main roster product is an odd move. This was the man that was suddenly turned into a lead play-by-play commentator overnight, and he excelled in the role. Graves is fantastic. I think fantastic is a little strong. When he worked with Wade Barrett, he had a different role, and he had to be the lead commentator, and I think he did okay. Same time, though, WWE just brought in a new lead commentator in Joe Tessitore. They don't need Corey Graves to play quarterback at this point. Sometimes they need you to play quarterback. Sometimes they need you to play wide receiver. You got to be able to adapt. He can. So is he just going to be able to hold it out is the question. You know, it might mean he's doing backstage interviews like Jackie Redmond and all of them, which I know he's not going to be a big fan of. Like, that sucks to go from being at the desk to being backstage. You know, I get it, but whatever. Here's another one. As much as I don't like Corey Graves, I take him over Pat McAfee any day of the week. Corey may say a few annoying things here and there, but Pat's entire personality is annoying, and his voice is insufferable. He's been awful at his job since 2022, and is only getting worse. Look, I'm not a huge fan of Pat McAfee. I think that he adds a certain element of energy to the product. But sometimes you want to turn the energy down. You want things to be serious. And Pat McAfee just does not bring serious. He wants to jump around, dance around, jump on top of the desks and all this kind of stuff. We don't always need that. You know, we don't always need that at all. Another one. That Corey Graves downfall is beautiful. Been waiting for it since he called Sami Zayn a virtue signaler while in the Middle East. Bon voyage, fuckface. Interesting. I saw this pop up, a couple of times too. I don't remember if it was on commentary or if it was on social media. I think it might have been on commentary when he called Sami Zayn a virtue signaler. And if it was on television, it was most likely a work. Hey, $14.99, please. I don't. People take this stuff way too seriously. You gotta stop taking everything said on social media or everything said on Twitter or even on TV to be that serious. I don't think he cares one way or the other about that whole thing, or he may just respect what Sami Zayn's doing, but he's reflecting a negative position, which is to be expected because he's the heel commentator. But it's kind of dumb. Corey Graves needs to humble himself quickly and remember that he's nobody's favorite commentator. I don't know. There's people out there who are talking about how fantastic he is. Fantastic is very strong a word. It's too strong, actually. Graves is the same guy who always has something nasty to say about Sammy. Always something nasty to say about the black women in the matches he commentates. If y'all want to shoot for y'all's favorite shit commentator, so be it. But my mind is not changing. What do you mean I wouldn't say he's shit either. I wouldn't say he's shit. But I wouldn't say he's fantastic. He's just kind of okay. It's easy to disregard Corey Graves until he said something that really kind of jumps out at you. And that doesn't happen a lot. So it is what it is. But let me know what you guys think about the Corey Graves situation. You think it's a work? I think we'll see if it's mentioned on SmackDown. But to me, whether it's a work or a shoot, I don't care that much because most of the time I'm ignoring the commentary. Wrestling commentary has been kind of garbage for a while. I'm not even a big fan of Michael Cole. So I just don't have a horse in the race. But if you was to tell me I had to pick the 6 commentators for the WWE shows, I think we got the 6 we got. I think that's fine. If you want to swap out Corey Graves and Wade Barrett, that works for me too. But I really wouldn't push anybody out of the seat for Corey Graves especially. And that's just me.
No one does it better.